We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. People always say you can feel in your chest when someone you love starts drifting away. They're right. I felt it the night Maya came home from work and didn't look at me the way she used to, not even for a second. It was as if I had suddenly become background noise in my own life. She breezed past me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, humming some tune she never used to listen to, checking her phone every few seconds like she was waiting for someone far more important. That was the first crack. The second crack came a week later. I walked into the kitchen at 6 a.m., groggy and barely awake, only to find her dressed in clothes she never wore to her office job, tight leggings, a cropped hoodie, hair done perfectly. "Morning, Ron," she said, not meeting my eyes. "Maya, you've never run a day in your life," I replied quietly. She laughed it off, kissed my cheek like a politician, shaking hands, and rushed out the door. And then came the third crack, the one that made my stomach twist. She started locking her phone, not because she cared about privacy, but because she suddenly had something to hide. She'd sit on the edge of the bed texting with her screen tilted away from me, smiling softly to herself. She used to smile like that only when she looked at me. I wasn't stupid. I knew something was going on. But knowing isn't the same as accepting. Not when you've spent 4 years building plans, routines, dreams together. My days became a cycle of silence and pretending. I'd go to my job at the auto shop, trying to focus on engines while my mind built worst-case scenarios. I'd drink my coffee alone in the mornings, wondering who she was smiling at before she came home. I felt myself slowly becoming a stranger in my own story. But the turning point, the moment things shifted from suspicion to painful clarity, happened on a Tuesday night. She claimed she had a team dinner. I didn't argue. I just nodded and watched her dress up more than usual, fixing her hair 3 times, spritzing perfume she never used around me anymore. When she left, I sat in the dark living room for a long time, staring at the quiet space she'd left behind. I told myself I was imagining things, that maybe she was just stressed. But then her location alert popped up without me even checking. Downtown. A hotel, not a restaurant. The kind of truth that steals the air from your lungs. I didn't go there. I didn't storm the hotel. I didn't send angry messages. Instead, I let the coldness settle deeper. A strange calm took over, unsettling, heavy, but sharp. I wanted truth, not scenes. So I started watching. Not stalking, not snooping, just observing the pieces that she had been dropping like crumbs. And that's when I found out about Derek Hall, her coworker. The man she swore was barely even on her team. He was in her recent calls. He liked every one of her new posts. He complimented her pictures before she even sent them live. And when I dug a little deeper, his girlfriend Riley Turner appeared in the background of their photos. A woman who looked tired but kind. Someone who probably believed in him the way I had once believed in Maya. I had all the signs. I just needed proof. And that proof came faster than I expected. Because the next night, Maya left for a quick meeting. And 5 minutes later, Derek texted her something so bold, so smug, that it made my hand shake as I read it. It wasn't what he said. It was the timestamp. He thought she was already with him. And that's when a dangerous idea formed in my mind. Not rage. Not confrontation. Something far more controlled. And far more devastating. I wasn't going to confront Maya. I wasn't going to scream or accuse. I was going to do something she never saw coming. And I knew exactly who would want to help me do it. His girlfriend, Riley Turner. And the moment I reached out to her, everything changed. Riley Turner answered my message faster than I expected. I hadn't written anything dramatic, just a simple, cautious line. "I think we need to talk about Maya and Derek." Her reply came within seconds. "Where?" Not why. Not what happened. Not are you sure. Just where. We met at a quiet cafe on the edge of town, the type of place where nobody asks questions and everyone minds their own business. I got there early, palms damp, heart racing. I didn't know what Riley knew, or what she suspected, or how she would react when I told her the truth. But when she walked in, I could see instantly that she wasn't clueless. She wore a tired smile that didn't match her eyes that looked like they hadn't slept in weeks. "Logan," she asked softly. I nodded, and she sat across from me, her coat still half on, as if she wasn't sure she wanted to stay. We didn't waste time. I opened my phone, found a thread between Maya and Derek, and placed it on the table between us. She didn't even have to scroll. She just stared at the screen, her jaw tightening only once before she took a slow breath. "I knew it," she whispered. I kept telling myself I was imagining things, but I knew. Her voice wasn't angry. It was exhausted, like she had been holding herself together for far too long. I leaned forward, keeping my tone gentle. "I'm sorry you had to see it like this." She shook her head. "No, I'd rather see the truth than be lied to for another day." That hit me deeper than I expected, because I felt the same way. We sat there in silence for a moment, two strangers with the same wound. Then Riley slowly slid my phone back toward me and sat up straighter. "What do you want to do?" she asked. I opened my mouth to answer, but she continued, "Because I don't want revenge out of anger. I want clarity. I want them to see what they threw away without screaming or chaos. Something calm, something they won't forget." Her voice held a steadiness I didn't have yet, but it ignited something sharp inside me, a plan, forming in fragments. "I don't want to explode or humiliate anyone publicly," I said. "I want them to look at us, together, and realize we were never the fools." She lifted her eyebrows. "Together?" I nodded. "If you're willing." There was a pause, one thick enough to cut. Then she smiled. Not a flirty smile, not a bitter one, a dangerous one. "I'm willing." That smile, that was the moment everything shifted. The moment our separate heartbreaks merged into a single purpose. We spent nearly 2 hours planning. Not some reckless confrontation, but something smart, controlled, and unforgettable. Riley knew Derek better than anyone, just like I knew Maya's tells, her habits, her weaknesses. And together, we crafted a scenario they wouldn't be able to escape from. "You realize they're going to deny everything," Riley said as she traced a finger around her coffee cup. "They'll probably twist the story, pretend we're imagining it." "Exactly," I said. "So we won't give them the chance." We planned our timing, our location, how we would present the truth without raising our voices or giving them room to manipulate. But as we talked, something unexpected happened. We stopped talking about them and started talking about ourselves. I learned that Riley worked long hours at a dental clinic, often covering extra shifts because Derek said he needed time with friends to unwind. She told me how she used to bake for him every Sunday morning, waiting for him to wake up, only for him to leave early without touching a bite. She talked about wanting simple, peaceful love, someone who listened, someone who saw her. And I admitted things I had never said out loud. How Maya used to leave notes in my lunchbox when we first started dating, but stopped once I stopped being exciting. How I had worked extra hours to save for a vacation she said she didn't want, even though she kept taking trips with her coworkers. How I wanted honesty more than perfection. How I had blamed myself for months, thinking I wasn't enough. We spoke like two people who had been carrying too much weight alone. By the time we stepped outside, the cold air hit us like a clean slate. We weren't just partners in revenge. We were allies in clarity. Riley pulled her hair back, exhaling slowly. "I feel lighter," she said. "Not happier, just less alone." "Me too," I admitted. She looked at me then, really looked, not pitying, not judging, just present. "Logan," she said quietly, "whatever happens, thank you for telling me." Her gratitude surprised me, but also grounded me. This wasn't about rage anymore. It was about reclaiming dignity. We walked toward our cars side by side. The parking lot was nearly empty, the streetlights buzzing faintly. Before she opened her door, she turned to me again. "Are you sure you're ready for tomorrow?" I nodded. I've never been more sure. A small, knowing smile touched her lips. "Good. Because tomorrow, they won't see it coming." Her confidence steadied me, strengthened me. And for the first time since the lies began, I felt calm. Not because revenge was coming, but because I wasn't going into it alone. The next evening felt like the longest countdown of my life. I kept checking the time, pacing the living room, adjusting picture frames that didn't need adjusting, wiping down the counter even though it was already clean. Everything in my body vibrated with a strange mix of dread and determination. At exactly 6:40 p.m., my phone buzzed. "Riley, I'm here." I opened the door, and she stepped inside wearing a calm, centered expression that amazed me. She didn't look nervous. She didn't look scared. She looked ready, like she had spent all night transforming her heartbreak into steel. "You okay?" she asked gently. As okay as someone about to confront their entire relationship should be, I said with a dry laugh. She nodded. Good. Stay steady. We're not here to scream or break anything. We're here to finish something. Her voice grounded me. She had this quiet strength, this grace under pressure that made me feel like our plan wasn't reckless. It was necessary. We had chosen my apartment as the setting because Maya always treated it like her stage. She would walk in like she owned the walls, the air, the space. Tonight, that would change. I brewed coffee for both of us, and we sat on opposite ends of the couch, rehearsing the plan one last time. They're going to walk in thinking everything is normal, Riley said, and that gives us control. Right. And you'll speak first. She nodded. Yes. Derek always tries to talk over me. Tonight he won't. I admired her composure, even as my own heart pounded hard enough to shake my ribs. At 7:12, another message came. Maya, running late again. Derek offered me a ride. Be home soon. Riley looked up from her cup. Of course he did. My jaw tightened. Perfect. We didn't have to wait long. The sound of a car pulling in echoed through the window. Footsteps. Laughter. The kind of laughter that stings when it isn't meant for you. The door swung open without a knock, because that's how casually Maya treated our home. Logan, she called out. Sorry we're late. She stopped. Riley and I sat side by side on the couch. Her smile froze, confusion replacing the easy charm she wore when she thought she had everyone fooled. Derek stepped in behind her, nearly bumping into her because she suddenly stopped walking. What's going on? Maya asked, scanning the room, her voice tighter now. Riley didn't wait. She stood slowly, smoothing her jacket, her eyes calm and level. We need to talk, she said. Derek blinked. Riley, why are you here? Her voice remained steady. Because you weren't where you said you were last night, or the night before, or the week before. Maya stiffened. What is this? Some kind of intervention. I finally stood up, meeting her gaze with a calmness I didn't know I possessed. No, I said softly. Just the truth. Maya's eyes darted between us. Logan, what are you doing? I walked to the table, picked up the folder I had placed there earlier, and set it down in front of her. She hesitated, then opened it. Printed screenshots, text threads, location logs, photos. Her breath hitched. Maya, I said quietly, I've known for a while. She swallowed hard. This isn't what it looks like. Derek stepped forward. Logan, listen. Riley cut him off sharply. Don't. Not one more lie. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was final. Derek froze. Maya tried again. Logan, you're misunderstanding. I raised a hand. No more explanations. No more stories. I just want honesty. She opened and closed her mouth like she might cry, but the tears didn't come. Maybe because guilt wasn't what sat behind her eyes. Fear was. Why is she here? Maya asked, pointing at Riley, her voice rising. Because, Riley answered, stepping beside me. Your choices involved all four of us. Derek groaned. Riley, can we talk about this privately? No, she said. You forfeited privacy when you made our lives intersect behind our backs. The silence that followed was thick and suffocating. I watched Maya's posture crumble, not in remorse, but in panic. She wasn't worried about my feelings. She was worried about losing control, losing the version of herself she built on secrecy and excuses. We didn't want to humiliate you, I said. That's why this is happening here, quietly, with no yelling. Maya looked at me like she wanted to beg, but the words never came. Instead, she shifted into the defensive tone I'd heard too many times. So what now? You want to shame us? You want to make a scene? Riley exhaled slowly. No, we want you to see yourselves. Really see yourselves. I stepped back, letting Riley take the lead. She had earned her voice tonight. You looked us in the eyes every day, she told Derek, and convinced us we were imagining things. That's the part that hurts the most. Not the betrayal itself, but the way you made us doubt our own instincts. Maya's face flushed. Derek stared at the floor. Riley continued, softer now but still unwavering. We're not breaking down tonight. We're not fighting. We're not asking why. We're just done. I nodded. Done. The word felt strange on my tongue, light and heavy at the same time. Maya stepped toward me. Logan, don't do this. We can fix it. I shook my head. You didn't want to fix it. You wanted me to stay quiet. Her eyes glistened with the first real crack of emotion, but I didn't move toward her. I didn't comfort her. I simply breathed, steady, calm, resolved. "We're leaving," Riley said, turning to me. "You ready?" I was. More than ever. As we walked out the door together, leaving Maya and Derek standing in the center of the life they had broken, something remarkable happened. For the first time in months, I felt free. The cool night air hit my face the moment Riley and I stepped outside, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Clarity. Not triumph, not rage, just a strange, steady sense of weight sliding off my shoulders. Riley walked beside me in silence, her footsteps soft on the pavement, but her presence grounded me more than any words could. "You okay?" she finally asked, looking over at me. I nodded. "Yeah, I actually am." She gave a small smile, one that held real warmth this time. Gentle, understanding, almost relieved. "Good." They needed to see the truth, Logan. Not a dramatic scene, just reality. We reached her car, and she stopped, leaning lightly against the door. The streetlight above us cast a soft glow over her face, highlighting the exhaustion, but also the strength she had fought hard to reclaim. "You know," she said, "I always imagined if something like this ever happened, I'd completely fall apart. But standing in that room tonight, I felt like I was finally standing up for myself." "You did more than that," I replied. "You kept us both calm. I couldn't have done it without you." She shook her head. "You would have found a way. People who care deeply, they always do." I didn't argue, but I knew she was wrong. Without Riley, I would have confronted Maya alone, probably ending up in a shouting match or walking away feeling even more broken. Instead, tonight had been controlled, clear, and strangely dignified. Riley looked down for a moment, her fingers tracing the edge of her jacket. "Derek and I were together for 3 years," she said. "It hurts. It really does. But I think tonight was the first time I realized I'll be okay." I took a deep breath, watching our breath fog in the cold. "You deserve someone who shows up. Someone who doesn't make you question yourself every day." Her eyes lifted to mine. "You do too." The honesty between us felt genuine, not rushed or emotional out of desperation. Just two people who had been lied to for far too long and were finally breathing freely again. "Do you want to ride home?" she asked. I shook my head. "I think I need to walk a little. Clear my head." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, but can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Was there ever a moment, before tonight, where you thought, maybe she'd choose you, that maybe you'd win her back?" Her question wasn't judgmental. It was simply human. I let out a slow exhale. "Honestly, for a long time, yes. I believed if I did everything right, she'd choose me." I waited, hoping she'd look at me the way she used to. But tonight, seeing her face, hearing her excuses, I realized I wasn't losing her. She'd been gone long before I ever discovered anything. Riley's gaze softened. "Then you didn't lose. You just stopped holding on to something that wasn't yours anymore." That truth settled into my chest, warmer than the cold around us. She pushed off the car gently. "Take care of yourself, Logan." "You too, Riley." She opened her door, but before getting in, she looked back once more. "And hey, don't disappear. Talking to someone who understands, it helps." I offered a small smile. "I won't disappear." She nodded, then stepped in her car and drove away, leaving me standing under the quiet glow of the streetlight. I stood there for a long time, letting the silence wrap around me. The night felt different now. Not empty, open. Like the first page of a new chapter one wasn't afraid to write. When I finally walked back toward my apartment building, I didn't look up at the window where Maya and Derek still stood frozen in their own mess. I didn't need to. They were no longer my problem, no longer my story. As I reached the end of the block, I took one last breath, steady and clean. I didn't get revenge by hurting them. I got revenge by walking away whole. And that, finally, felt like enough.